Today's story begins with a couple whose intentions don't seem good at all. In fact, today's plan is to rob a grocery store, which they are fully prepared for. But even after robbing the entire store, Jory is not satisfied because he saw a box behind the cashier and insisted on opening it. But the cashier warned him that there was nothing he wanted in the box, so he shouldn't open it. But Jory was greedy, so he opened it anyway, and then a gunshot was heard. After the scene cuts, we go straight to a deserted forest where a scared girl is wandering alone. She has been wandering here for I don't know how long because of hunger. There was no one around her. Who knows what happened to her in the past that made her feel like this today, but for now, she saw a wooden cottage in front of her. She ran inside, where Samantha found a bag full of food. She started eating whatever she could get her hands on. But then she heard a terrible noise from outside. Someone was coming this way. Fearing this, Samantha hid under a bed there. After a while, the man came in. He had an axe in his hand, but we couldn't see who it was. He picked up his food bag and quietly left. Samantha, who was hiding below, hid there quietly out of fear. When some time passed, she thought that she should get out of here now, so she decided to run away from there. But then, suddenly, she bumped into the man, whose name was Tom. But he didn't harm Samantha, but helped her. Seeing this, Samantha apologized to him because he had stolen food from her bag since she hadn't eaten anything for 2 days. Actually, her car had broken down in the middle of the road, so her husband went to the nearby Agda petrol pump for help. But he hasn't come back yet. Coincidentally, Tom's car has also broken down here. In fact, he has been stuck here for 3 days. Now, as soon as Samantha heard this, she got nervous and said that she had to go to her husband now. Maybe he has come back. So the two of them also went with her. But no one was there. So the two of them left a note there and took some warm clothes and returned to the cottage. Since it was night, the temperature here had dropped a lot. So Tom asked her to put on the blanket that he had brought from the car. But she couldn't understand why her husband left her alone in the forest like this. He could have taken her with him. She was pregnant at that time. Maybe that was why her husband did this. After hearing this, Tom asked her to sleep on the bed and said that he would sleep on the ground. Before going to sleep, he gave her water to drink, which he had brought from a lake that flowed nearby. But the strange thing was that the next day when he went there again, there was no sign of that lake. With these confusing questions, the two of them went to sleep. In the middle of the night, Samantha had a very bad dream, which caused her to wake up early in the morning. But he couldn't see Tom anywhere. When he went outside, he saw a girl with white hair lying unconscious. He ran and brought her inside the cottage. Meanwhile, Tom was getting some fuel out of his car so that he could fill it in Samantha's car and they could get out of here. Meanwhile, the girl with white hair came to her senses. Then we recognized her. Hey, this is Jody, the girl who robbed the grocery store. But how did she get here? Now when he saw Samantha, he thought that she was a bad woman and this place belonged to her. Then Samantha told him the whole story, but Jory still didn't believe him, so he got angry and left the cottage. At that time, Tom was getting fuel. Then suddenly there were 2 gunshots, so that he was so scared that the fuel fell out of his hand. He shouted and asked if anyone was around, but there was no one here, so he came back. He saw Samantha with a strange girl who was actually Jody. Jody told him that she had a fight with her boyfriend, so she left him here alone. But now she had to go back home. After hearing her, Tom agreed to let her stay here, but on the condition that he would also have to help them with their work. The next day, Samantha and Jory had a good talk, which resulted in their friendship. But on the other hand, Tom's problems were not over. He noticed that the further he went from his location, the closer he came to it. That is, he kept coming back to that cottage, which seemed very strange to him. And so he returned to the two of them and said that this place is not right. "We should leave here, but I need to know something. Where were you going and what is this place? Does anyone here know?" Then Samantha said that her husband told her that it was New Hampshire, but Jody said that this place is Dakota. Again, Tom said that he was on the route to Los Angeles. After these words, they now realized that they were in a big problem, and so Tom decided that they would go as far as they could tomorrow morning so that they could get help from someone or find another way out of this place. At night, both Jody and Tom had a very strange dream together where someone was giving them an injection, and Samantha also had a similar dream where she was screaming in pain. Anyway, in the morning, they packed their things and started walking. Samantha and Jory were talking where she was sharing some things about her past, like her mother died giving birth to her, and since then, she had grown up in an orphanage. Suddenly, her foot hit something, and she fell. At that moment, a bundle of money fell out of her Jeep, which surprised Tom and quickly asked, "Where did you get so much money from?" In response, Jody said that it was her own savings, which she had left with her boyfriend, but she took it with her when she left. That's when Samantha's eyes fell on the thing that Jory bumped into. It was a handle. When Tom broke it with his axe, it turned out that it was actually a German bunker. Inside it were all the war equipment and some canned food with the Nazi army symbol on it. Here Samantha said that her father had fought before, so such things often came to their house. Tom brought these cans out and then took the two of them out. But the problem is that they came back to the cabin. According to their calculations, they were walking in a straight line, but perhaps nothing is going on here as they calculated. In the next scene, we see the three of them having dinner. Then the two girls were talking among themselves. Then Jody tells Samantha the truth, that she steals. Because she has nothing else to do, she doesn't know how to study. Samantha asked her if she could see the money she had stolen again, because she had never seen so much money in her life. So Jody happily showed her the money. Samantha smiled when she saw the money, because she thought Jody was joking, because the year 1884 was written on that money. According to her, that money was from the future. But Jody said that she was still in 1884. But according to Samantha, it was 1964. Now all this was very strange. That is, two women are in the same place, but from different timelines, from different times, from different times. Now when Tom came, he was also asked the same question about which year he was from. So he said that he was from 2011. Now after hearing this, both of them also told their whole story. At first, Tom thought everything was funny, but seeing the seriousness of their words, he realized that there must be something wrong. Suddenly, the sound of gunfire came from outside. Who was shooting repeatedly? When they went outside, it turned out that it was a stranger with a gun. They needed help, so Tom went outside. He started telling him that they were in danger, but the man started saying something in German which he couldn't understand. But he understood that the man was telling him to drop the axe, so he did. When he opened his eyes, the next moment all three of them were prisoners, and the German man was gone. Now they were starting to realize somewhere that they might have time traveled. So the oldest of them, Samantha, asked if time travel was possible by 2011. Then Tom said that no, nothing like that had been done. After a while, the German man came back and untied Tom's rope. Then he took him outside and beat him badly. Finally, he tied him to a tree. Then he came inside and started asking the girls who they were and where they came from. Then his eyes fell on Jory's locket, which he began to ask her about. Only Samantha knew German, so he explained to her that the locket belonged to his mother and that he had a locket just like it. Then the German citizen angrily showed him a similar locket around his neck, which had a picture of a woman who looked exactly like Samantha's mother. Things are starting to get more complicated now, but stay tuned, because the end of this will shake you. Now the man came out with the two girls. Then Samantha asked Tom if he had a locket like that too, but he denied it. At this opportunity, the stranger forgot that Tom had untied his rope. The next moment, the man himself was in the same position in which he had left these three. But these three people standing there were lost in their own thoughts, because somewhere or other, this tangle had begun to unravel near them. Samantha had a suspicion that the picture on the locket the man had was her mother's, but Tom wouldn't accept it. But when Jody said that the woman in the picture was her grandmother, Tom's mind was blown. Here we also learn the name of the stranger, which Samantha tells us. His name was Hensman, who was actually her father. But not only that, when Samantha asked Jody her date of birth, she said June 3rd, 1964. It was the same date that Jory's mother died giving birth to her daughter. And that girl was none other than Jody herself. Why were you shocked, right? Now a shadow of grief has fallen on the entire cabin. The matter has come to light in such a way that everyone's mind has blown. When Samantha learned that her husband had actually died in the war, She left the cabin crying. But not only that, here another mystery is revealed. Tom, who was sitting outside, tells Jody that he is actually her son. But Jody refutes this because she does not have such a locket. But Tom had a secret that he also had the same locket, but it was now in his house. He said that his mother was a thief who used to rob gas stations and grocery stores in the city with her husband Cabin. But one day, her mother herself killed her husband, for which she was hanged. It was a hard truth that was actually real, and Jody could not bear this, and she also came out of the cabin. Her daughter Jody went to the bored Samantha, who was sitting outside. Now this feeling was completely different. That previous thing is now over, because ever since Samantha found out that she would die giving birth to her daughter, her whole world has collapsed. But she is happy because her daughter is alive, and later her grandparents will take care of her. But Jody says that her grandparents used to torture her a lot and always kept her from eating. That's why she left home when she was young. After hearing this, Samantha started crying and ran to the cabin and explained the whole story to Henchman, her father, and then tried to free him. But Tom forbade her from doing so because the man could be dangerous. But Samantha believed that her father wouldn't do anything to her. But as soon as she was freed, she took her gun and clothes and ran away from there. At this time, Samantha remembered that terrible dream again, when she died while giving birth to her child. Because at that time, Adam, her husband, was at war and the ambulance arrived at the house late. Meanwhile, Tom also said that he had a similar dream, where he shot the father who tortured him, and then he shot himself. And finally, it was Jory's turn. He also remembered that day of the execution. That is, these three now know that they are going to die, and they also know how they will die, but they are not dead yet. That means that these three can change their past. That's why Tom quickly took them to the German bunker, because he didn't think that all this had started after Henchman's death, so we had to stop him first. Samantha told him that her father had died in an airstrike in Poland on May 14th, and today was May 14th, and the place where they were standing was also Poland, so they had a chance. Tom wisely said that if Henchman didn't die, his wife, Samantha's mother, wouldn't get married again, which meant that Henchman would stay home, and then he could take Samantha to the hospital when labor pains came. So he ran out to find Henchman. In the cabin, he was trying to connect to the radio, but it was bad. Then Samantha told him about the airstrike, but he didn't listen to a word of her and started running away. Then Tom tried his best to stop her, but in the meantime, a terrible mistake was made. Henchman fired a shot, which went straight to Jory's head.
Henchman escaped, but the two of them came to the cabin with the injured Jody. Tom was now very worried, because if Jody dies, she will never be born. I have to stop her somehow. Saying this, he went to catch Henchman. Meanwhile, Samantha was trying her best to keep her daughter alive. This is why God never gave a person the ability to see his past or future. Otherwise, he would start messing with the rules made by nature, the consequences of which could be very terrible. Tom found Henchman, but he was running away from him every time. But he noticed one thing: no matter where Henchman ran, he kept coming back to that cabin. So Tom also went to that cabin now, where the two were now facing each other. Henchman fired many shots at him, but not a single shot hit him, because now Tom's existence was slowly ending, like Jory's last breath. As Jory's soul left his body, Tom was losing his existence, and then there came a time when he completely disappeared, because Jody was dead. But Samantha saw this, and now she was very angry with her father. He had made life difficult for her and her future generations. After all that had happened, Henchman now believed her words. But what will happen now? Now it is too late. Russian planes have started to appear in the sky. So they both started to run away, but the bombs have started falling, due to which Samantha is also injured. But her father picked her up and brought her to the bunker. Now Samantha's existence is also slowly ending, because Henchman has saved himself. She did not die at the time when she died before. That is, everything will be fine now. But one thing will not change yet. What it was, you will find out in a while. The scene shifts back to where the story began, but a lot has changed this time. Jody goes to the same grocery store, but in a different avatar, as a rich and educated girl. But when she comes out, she sees Kevin, who is about to do the same thing with his other girlfriend. but with a new girlfriend, which means that Tom will never be born, because Jody and Kevin never met. And this is because Samantha is still alive, whom we see in the next scene, who now holds the ashes of her father, whom she paid her respects to with full dignity in 1964. At the end, we see her again in the store where Kevin's new girlfriend, Amelie, has looted everything. But in the end, her greed is not over, and her eyes fall on the box behind the cashier, which she asks to open. But the cashier warned him, if you go inside, nothing can be fixed. But he didn't listen, and that's where the story ends.